Hey, everybody, welcome back to another fantastic edition of the His and Her Money Show, where we make it our business and our priority to help you take dominion over your money and your life. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate every time that you make the decision to rock with the His and Her Money Show. We do not take it for granted. Do us a favor and share this on your IG stories and tag us at His and Her Money so that we can show you love right back and give you the thanks that you deserve, because we appreciate you listening and sharing. All right, like we always say, guys, get your pen and paper, get your note apps open, because lots of gems are about to be dropped and you're going to want to write those down. All right, so let's get our special guests, George and Brian, on so y'all can learn how to get this money. Hey, Brian. Hey, George. Welcome to the His and Her Money Show.
Man, thank you for having us.
What's going on?
Guys, y'all have figured out something that people haven't heard of, and we're going to jump into all of your advice about how to turn our cars into profit centers. But before we start talking about that, some people are being introduced to you both for the very first time. So can each of you take a moment just to introduce yourselves, say hello to everybody that's tuned in, and let them know what you're all about?
Okay, yeah. So my name's George Waters, aka the Wealthy G, on all social media platforms. I am a corpreneur, right? Like I have a corporate job. I have rental vehicles, a fleet of rental vehicles that range from Nissan Sentras to a Tesla Model 3. Also a real estate investor as well, and a consultant.
Yeah, and as you may know, I'm from the south side of Chicago. My name is Brian Robinson, also known as the infamous CPA on all social media. I started my career in accounting. So as I mentioned, I'm a CPA. I started with the big four accounting firms and then slowly transitioned my way to real estate in terms of being a financial analyst for a commercial real estate developer. And then when the pandemic hit, I got laid off. So, during that time of being in corporate, I was building a side business consisting of real estate, rental cars, credit repair business, and a couple of other ventures. So now, when the pandemic hit and I got laid off, I just kind of went full throttle into that. And then, ever since then, so many people wanted to learn about the car rental industry. It was just crazy. The demand was crazy. I actually linked up with George and we had a consult, and that's how we first met. And now we have this strategic partnership where we're teaching people to do the same. So that's a little bit about me in a nutshell and kind of where we're going and where we're headed.
All right, that's dope. Now, it seems like when both of you all story, there's this knowledge that you all had about the importance of having more than one way to make money. When y'all were introducing yourselves, y'all both talked about different ways by which you make money. So can you all talk about why this is important and why it's not as hard as people may think? We'll start with you, George.
Oh man, so I mean, first and foremost, right? Having one stream of income is way too close to having none. As we just saw in the pandemic, people who had extremely what they thought were stable careers were getting laid off, and they have nowhere to go, right? They have nowhere to go. They're, looking for unemployment depending on that, where this stream of income that we've created, almost everyone has a vehicle, right? A vehicle that, even especially in the pandemic, we're not moving around as much. It's as easy as basically, right, the same way people do Airbnb. It's the same exact concept where if you have either your vehicle that you're not utilizing, or if you have an extra vehicle, right? We know how easy it is to acquire a car. If you have an extra vehicle, you can literally put this vehicle on the road and people will pay you to rent it by the day. And as we'll get into those numbers, but the difference between what that car is costing you and what people are willing to pay you to use that vehicle, that cash flow is different.
So, Brian, how did you get started with this? Because this, again, I hadn't heard of it till I heard you talk about it on another a show. And I don't think most people have heard about taking either a car I already have or acquiring a car and turning it into an immediate asset. I think automatically the prevailing rhetoric that is out there, self-included, I've talked this for years because of my story and what we've been through and what we've learned over the years, that a car is a liability and a liability only. That's the only thing it could ever be. So how did you come across this concept from the beginning?
Yeah, so I was actually, looking for a real estate deal in Chicago, trying to find a multi-unit to house hack, and I couldn't find anything in my price range. So I took a break, and one of my friends was doing this, ride sharing through this company called Hire Car that lets you rent vehicles to Uber and Lyft drivers. So, I was interested. I needed some extra cash to afford a bigger price point for this home purchase I was trying to make. So I had this liability, and that's how it usually starts. I had this vehicle, it was a 2016 Ford Fusion that I got in college. It was one of the worst mistakes, I made, buying a brand new car when I'm only making $1,000 a month. And now this car is costing me $500 a month. That was just a crazy decision. But, when you're young, you don't really have that financial literacy. You just kind of make those bad decisions. So as I'm, starting my career fresh as an auditor at PwC, we're working 70-hour weeks. So I'm really not driving this car. So it's just costing me money day in and day out. So once I heard about, my friend investing in the car rental business, I just tried it out right away. I took some photos of the vehicle, got an Uber and Lyft inspection, and then I posted it on the platform. And literally like 2 days later, it was booked. And the guy had that vehicle for 36 days, and I made about $1,200. And that was my first taste at passive income. So I'm like, wow. And from there, I saw that it worked. So, 3 weeks later, we bought another car as a partnership, and then I just kept acquiring more and more vehicles. So that's how I got started in the industry.
So let me see if I heard them numbers right, because somebody might have just hit the pause and rewind, because it sounded like you said you had a car that was costing you 500.
Yep.
It wasn't a brand new car. It wasn't flashy.
Nope.
And you were able to, in 30 some odd days, take that same car and create $1,200. Did I hear that right?
Yep. Exactly. And that's
Okay.
actually
All
low.
right. I think we're, yeah. I think
What you call different.
I think we're all paying attention now. I think we're all paying attention now. Okay. So George, who is a good candidate to give this a try? Because some people, like, they need their cars, like they drive to work every day, or they do this, that, and the other. So let us know who's a candidate. What situation do we need to be in as far as vehicles to make this sustainable or make this a viable way to bring in some additional income into our homes?
Absolutely. So, I mean, I can honestly tell you the avatar of somebody who is poised to get into this industry, it's very wide. It's extremely wide. I can tell you what I was when I first got exposed to this industry. I'm working my 9 to 5. I use my vehicle to drive to work every single day. But I heard about this income stream and I'm like, man, I have to figure out a way to get into it. So I had to form a strategic partnership to purchase my vehicle. But right now, it's so accessible, right? When we think about the corporate Americans who are working from home, that's a perfect. I've so many people have been like, George, I am working from home 5 days a week right now. My car is sitting in my driveway, costing me money every single month. That's a perfect person who is poised to be able to make money from that liability that's just sitting in their driveway. Or if you're a person who simply wants another stream of income, right? If you either have a vehicle that's sitting and it's just costing you money and you're not utilizing it, or if you are a person who you're working a 9 to 5, you've always thought about forming some type of business or creating some type of other income stream outside of your 9 to 5. This is a business that, and I tell everyone this, the barrier to entry is so low, is so low. If you can buy a car, you can get into the industry, right? And even if you can't finance a car traditionally, when you form partnerships, there's cash cars that you can buy. There's so many different ways with a low barrier of entry to get into this industry. When I say literally anyone, I was a 9 to 5 straight corporate every single day. I'm in the office and I heard about this and I was looking to add a income stream and I made a way. If I can make a way from where I was at, right? Anyone can get into this industry.
And you said it twice. You said partner. You said the word partnership twice. You said that when you were first trying to figure this out, you had your 9 to 5 and you were fully using your vehicle, and you said what you used was a strategic partnership that might have perked somebody's ears up, because maybe that's the situation that they're in. Maybe they're not a remote worker, maybe they are using their car, but you're still saying that there's a way to make this work. Would you be able to elaborate a little bit?
Absolutely. Strategic partnerships are so key, really, in any business, but especially in this business, because when we think about the barriers that someone might have to cross to get into this industry, right? First and foremost, somebody might not have the cash to go and purchase a vehicle or go and purchase what's needed to get into this industry. You get the knowledge, right? You find out the game of this possible income stream, and you approach somebody who doesn't know about it, who might have the cash. You run the numbers to them. Obviously, we just went over the numbers, they make sense, right? You run the numbers to someone who does have the cash, and you create that partnership, and then you utilize their cash and your knowledge to go and now start that business. Another thing that we are big on is utilizing credit, right? If you are somebody who has the knowledge and you know somebody that doesn't have the cash to purchase a car, but they have the credit needed to be able to get approved for the financing to purchase a vehicle, whether it be a little bit of money or even in a lot of cases, no money down, you partner with that person who has the credit to be able to make it happen, right? It's all about, when it comes to strategic partnerships, really what you're looking for is somebody who has whatever factor it is that you're lacking, right? Partnering with someone who has something that you're lacking so that you guys can come together and be able to put all those pieces together and actually execute on it. And that was how I had to get started. When I first started, I didn't know about the financing hacks that we know now. I didn't know about any of that stuff. I was just like, I want to get an economy vehicle and I want to put it on the road. I don't want another car note on my credit because I invest in real estate. I want to protect my debt to income ratio. So the only thing I could think of was I need to buy this car in cash, right? Cars at that time are $10,000 to $12,000 what I want to get. So I'm like, wow, I do not have $10,000 to $12,000 to buy this car, right? But I do have a little bit of money here, and I have a friend who also has a little bit of money as well, right? I have a friend who is also looking to get into the same industry. He has some cash, he has some knowledge. I have some cash, I have some knowledge, right? Why don't we touch base, put that cash together, get that first economy vehicle on the road, start creating that cash flow, and then what you want to do from there is whatever you do. But the most important part with that strategic partnership was it got me started, right? It got me
Mm,
started and it got me executing on the play.
that's dope. That's dope. So, Brian, I remember about 10 years ago, I was on the East Coast visiting some family in New Jersey, but we were in Philly. We were out just hanging out, cousins, my wife, their wives. And I remember one of my cousins pulling out a phone and dialing or doing something on his phone, and a car showed up. I was like, what
Gotcha.
is that? He was like, it's an Uber. I was like, what the heck is an Uber? He was like, it's this thing, and you tell them where you at, and they come. I was like, you just finna get in this stranger's car? You don't know them, right? You know what I'm saying? But that's
Yeah.
that's probably the reaction that some people have. But look at Uber now. Same thing with
hmm
Airbnb. You just gonna rent out your house? You gonna let somebody come and sit in your? And so maybe people are thinking that when it comes to this. So is there a platform like the Uber of taxis or the Airbnb of hotel stays that facilitates these transactions, or are y'all putting this on, like, where are y'all getting the people that are willing to drive your car?
Yeah, so it's a couple of different platforms. So as I mentioned earlier, you got hire car where people who want to drive for Uber and Lyft, they want to use these vehicles to make money. That's where they go to find cars, and that's a great profitable income stream. You typically get long-term renters, so that's the real benefit of going that route. The other one is called Turo. That's the other main popular platform, and Turo is great because it's for people who just want to go on vacations, or maybe they just want to check out a really nice car, a Tesla, G-Wagon, something of the like, one of those luxury vehicles. Or they just simply, need a car. Their car might be down due to some repairs that need to be done. So they have to, get a car really quickly. And Turo has cost advantages over some of the bigger car rental businesses, mainly because of everything that happened during the pandemic when, companies like Hertz had to sell off a ton of their stock. So now they don't have enough vehicles to keep up with that demand. So they have to raise their prices. Um, So now a lot of people are just being attracted to Turo because now they have a much wider selection of vehicles. Because with most big car rental businesses, you don't really get to choose your car. You just choose like economy or luxury, and then they just see what they have available. On Turo, you actually get to see any vehicle you want to rent. You can filter by the vehicle that you specifically want, and that's what kind of makes Teslas really attractive right now. Because everyone wants to try out, this new Tesla, this electric vehicle. But those are the two main platforms that we utilize to run this business. And there's pros and cons to both of them, but all in all, it's so much potential to bring in a lot of cash flow while not putting in a ton of extra time because we automate a lot of our systems.
Legal in General America is a leader in low-cost, high-quality life insurance.
For nearly 70 years, Legal in General America has been providing financial protection to over 1.3 million families and businesses.
LGA makes understanding and applying for life insurance easy.
And agents are standing by to help you find the best coverage to fit your family's needs.
All you have to do is go to hisandhermoney.com/LGA to get a free quote now.
This is dope. This is a lot to think about, man. That makes sense when we hear y'all explaining it, right? You can use one site and you can rent to people who are out there doing the Ubers and the DoorDashes, but they need a vehicle, And you can also go on this other platform to where people can just rent for everyday use because you're right. We were traveling not too long ago and struggling to find a rental car. Struggling. At a major airport. Like, how y'all ain't got nothing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, man, there's definitely a need for this. So George, somebody might be saying, how do I know if my car might be a good fit for this side hustle? Is there a profile? Is there a certain type of car? Are some cars better than others? How do we assess our current situation before we think about going and maybe getting something? How do we know if what we currently have might be a good fit?
Yeah, absolutely. So, first and foremost, when it comes to where you're posting your vehicle at, right? When we think about hire car and people that are driving Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, things like that, you want to think about, possibly getting something that is semi good on gas, right? Because they're going to be driving a lot and they're looking for an overhead. So when it comes to hire car, thinking about the driver profile and what's going to really benefit them, that's really what I think about when it comes to those hire car vehicles. When it comes to Turo, Turo is such an amazing platform because really you can see everything that's happening in your city, right? So when someone asks me, how do I know if my car is going to be good for the Turo platform? The simple answer is go on Turo and see, right? I tell people all the time, do the market research. Turo has everything available to you. You can go on Turo as if you are a new customer looking to rent something, and you can see, if I have, let's say I have a Chevy Cruze, right? And I'm thinking about putting it on Turo. You can easily go on Turo, as a consumer and look for local Chevy Cruzes in your area, right? Are there a lot? Do they have a lot of trips? Those are some of the things that you want to look for when it comes to actually doing that market research. Now, my fleet, it ranges and it works, right? Now I say that because I'm in Philadelphia. I have 7 economy vehicles, right? Nissan Sentra, Nissan Versas, things like that. And they work, the economy works, right? But then there's also other asset classes, right? We have the actual luxury asset class. That's where the Tesla comes into play, where I looked at my market here in Philly and I see other Teslas. I was like, I wonder if I got a Tesla, if I could pay for itself on Turo, right? So to answer that question, I did the market research. I looked at other Teslas in my area. How often are they getting booked? What is the cost that they're charging? Is it actually going to cover the note? And is it actually being supported enough to actually be profitable? And sure enough, I'm seeing Teslas that have over 100 trips at $150 a day in my area. So I know that Tesla can be supported. Whereas if you're in Miami, if you're in Los Angeles, and you want to test even like some supercars, if you do that market research, you might see a McLaren, you might see a Lamborghini on Turo, because in those cities, right, in that market, that car is supported. So when it comes to, if you're wondering if your car can actually be on the platform and will it be profitable, go on there and check out what your local market looks like. And there's also great tools as well, right? We have a tool that can literally go deep into market research and tell you the exact make, model that is the hottest thing in your city, right? But that market research is going to be key on in the beginning of the business for sure.
Now, if people had their calculators out, they just counted. You just said you got 8 cars, brother.
I got nine actually. I got
You
nine. I
got 9 cars.
got yeah.
Where in the world are you keeping 9 cars?
That's a great question. That's a great question. So, it it varies. Right now, there's actually, so usually I utilize on street parking. The great thing about this business is that these vehicles are rented out on such a consistent basis that there is never more than two vehicles near my house at the same time, right? And I have free off street parking. That's another thing. It's going to be different for everybody. I happen to live in a spot where I have free off street parking that is available, so my cars are able to be in that off street parking. There's construction going on right now, so I actually had to talk with a local bar owner right down the street from my house, and I told him, I said, hey, I'm doing this. I have a couple cars. They might be in the parking lot. Is that going to be okay? He said, "Hey, okay, you can do that as well." But there's so many different options, right? Parking garages. Creating a partnership with parking garages is another very popular option when it comes to this business as well. Or you can go out and you can rent or buy your own lot, depending on how big you want to scale the business. But I tell everybody, if you live in a space where you have off street parking and you're looking to get started, utilize that, right? Utilize one car. The biggest thing is these cars are not going to be there, especially if it's a car that's just for the platform and you're not, like, you don't need it. These cars are not going to be there. There's a shortage of this right now. These cars are in rotation. Utilize that free street parking, and it's going to keep your overhead extremely low as well. So that street parking for me, I love it.
Man. So, Brian, you the CPA. Let's talk numbers. For someone who will attempt this with 1 car, what potentially could they make? And then what would it look like if I scale to 2 or 3 on average? Obviously, this is estimations and everybody's situation is different. Prices in every city is different. But to give people context for what could be, what would you tell them?
Yep. So before we even get into numbers, the things that we like to tell our students is you need to know what your number is, because it's some number when it comes to cash flow that makes this worth it for you. For me, we started out, it was about $400 in cash flow per car per month. But now we're getting much more than that, but that's kind of my baseline. So George alluded to how the cost of entry is so low. So let's look at that. Some of the things that you need to get started, we always recommend getting the LLC to get that limited liability protection, so your personal assets are covered. In Chicago, that's about 150. In addition to that, depending on how you finance the vehicle, let's say you get a vehicle for 10,000, you put 10% down, that's 1,000. So now you're at 1150. In addition to that, you'll need a couple of other things. You need registration, depending on where you at. So those are additional costs and things of that nature. But typically, people get started with about $1,500 to $2,000. So in a normal situation where you're looking for $500 to $600 in cash flow per month, you're getting your initial money back in 3.5 to 4 months. So then the rest is just cash flow. So the cash on cash return is crazy, even if you're just dealing with an economy car. But then when you start going up to, the Tesla, you start going up to some of that luxury level, then you're seeing thousands of dollars per cash or cash flow per vehicle. So when you say scaling to 2, 3, 4, 5 cars, I typically look at a $500 to $1,000 range, 500 being the minimum. And then that's how I kind of run my numbers from there. But the range is going to vary, like you mentioned. It's so many different factors that goes into your location, the type of vehicle you have, the type of service or experience that you give. Because a lot of people think we just rent cars, but it's really about providing the experience to our renters. And the higher rated you are, a lot of those things are going to play into how much money that you're actually going to be making per month. But the cash flow it's very comparable to real estate, and even I think a little bit easier.
Cool. So let's give people this resource real quick before we dive even deeper. If you go to hisandhermoney.com/car rental, you'll be able to take George and Brian's course where they outline and do deep dives on this here business opportunity. You don't have to figure all this out on your own. They got the blueprint. So George, can you talk about what's inside this course when they go to hisandhermoney.com/car rental?
Man, when when I think so, Brian has the name, the blueprint. And when I say that that cannot fit this course any better, it is literally the blueprint, right? We are going to cover everything from before you even start the business, right? Understanding what your why is, right? Understanding how to actually start the business, every single thing that you are going to need, every single thing that you're going to need to start that business, templates that you are going to need to communicate with your renters effectively, systems to automate your business so that when you're running, when you get to that point, you're running 5, 10 cars, you're not running around like a madman, right? We systemize everything and we utilize automations. We give that system to you on a silver platter. Not only that, but I alluded to it earlier, we figured some things out along the way. A lot of things actually, right? All the nuances that come with this industry, we've gone through them already. How to handle car accidents, how to handle tolls, right? How to actually make those things positive and work out in your favor, right? How to actually profit off of those situations as well. And I think one of the most valuable things that we talk about is the actual acquisition of the vehicle, right? Because so many people are like, how do I get started? How do I get the vehicle? Where we now talk about, you know, whether you buy the vehicle cash, whether you finance the vehicle, financing the vehicle in your business name. That's a big thing that we've picked up because when we teach people how to do that, now you're getting a car for your business to make you money. And that car note that you're now financing, whatever it is not even going to report on your personal credit. So now you're running your rental car business completely separate from yourself, right? That's huge as well. So going through all those different strategies and giving you the blueprint to not only start your rental car business, but to also scale and automate it. Listen, I wish that when this industry first started, when Brian was first getting into this industry, that something like this was available, right? Because all the headaches have already been had by us. You're going to skip all of the headaches in this course and literally walk through how to, I don't want to say it's easy because it is a business, you have to run it, but it's as simple as possibly can be broken down. And not only that, when you get the course, one thing that I think is so valuable is that we have a community. We have a community of experienced rental car business owners, right? Some are inexperienced, some are experienced. We have a community where we're always supporting each other. If somebody goes through something new, if something changes on the platform, we have a community where we're always supporting each other and always learning, right? Every single day. I think that's invaluable when it comes to starting, whether you're starting your first business or this is your third business, having that community of support along the way and being able to get your questions answered, that holds so much value.
Dope, dope. Now, both of y'all started this while working jobs. So, Brian, for those tuned in and they're like, I think I do want to learn about this. I think I do want to pursue this. How much time would they need to allocate outside of their 9 to 5 to be able to run this type of business effectively?
Yeah. For me, I think I spend no more than maybe 10 hours per week because we automate, we try to automate every facet of the system. So, from the communication to the renters, we have automation set up to when someone books, they get an automated message, they get pickup instructions sent automatically. We check in with them automatically, halfway through the rental, and so on and so forth. So we automate the communication process, but even taking a step back, we automate the pickup drop off process as well. So we're not physically going to meet them to drop off these vehicles. We're utilizing things like lock boxes. We're utilizing things like GPS and shut off devices, so we can always locate the vehicle and be able to disable it if we need to. We're utilizing a lot of those risk mitigation tools as well. But then also when it comes to the maintenance of the vehicles, we have ways to automate that as well. So we try to teach our students to not make this another job. We want them to actually be a business, because at the end of the day, most people aren't looking for more money. They're looking for the things that more money can provide, that freedom to be able to, do the things they want to do with people who they care most about whenever they want to do it. So we really try to teach that automation in all those systems. That saves you so much time. But yeah, for me, I'm probably spending no more than 10 hours per week. I spend way more time on real estate than this.
So talk about this as we get ready to wrap things up. How has learning this business and executing this business changed each one of y'all's lives?
For me, it's literally been crazy. Like when I started working at one of the big four accounting firms, they didn't pay well at all. So, and we were working so many hours, but experiencing what I experienced, getting laid off and being able to be okay, like not even have to think about anything going wrong, and being able to decide what I wanted to do next, whether that's go back to corporate or whether that's to go full-time entrepreneurship. I think that was just life-changing. And it all started with the car rental business, because now I get to help, thousands of people. I get to teach them the game as well. So this has just been truly life-changing. I travel way more. I just have way more freedom. I get to spend more time with my family. It's just really been, man, a crazy experience, and I'm just super thankful that I took that risk and bet on myself.
Man, I couldn't have said it any better, any better. And let me just say right here and now, I invested in myself to get the information. Listening to things like this, right? Listening to podcasts is how I got into this industry, how I stumbled upon it. Actually, hearing Brian on a podcast was how I got into this industry. And since then, like Brian said, the freedom that comes along with this, the cash flow that has allowed me to scale other businesses, right? To be able to invest heavily into real estate, and to really just have the freedom to say, hey, if I want to pick up and I want to go somewhere for a week, I can do that, right? I have a passive business that can literally fund that and still run in the meantime. To me, there's nothing that can account to that freedom that comes along with the type of income and the way that this income comes, right? It's a great stream and it's passive. Nothing to me can account to that. And it has given me that that freedom aspect to just be able to pick up. It's nothing like it. Nothing like it.
So there you have it, man. We talking about freedom. Listen, every opportunity that's out there has risk. You don't build wealth without risk. You don't achieve financial freedom without risk. It's about calculating the risk, mitigating the risk. And one of the easiest ways to do that is to follow a course that outlines what to do and, most importantly, what not to do. So like we said, Brian and George have a fantastic course that'll give you everything you need from start to finish. If you go to hisandhermoney.com/car rental, you can pick up that course and you can start to learn this business. Take it from us. Everything that we do in our company, even outside of our company, the things that we learn, we don't just YouTube it. We might YouTube to get some seeds, to get some ideas, but when it's game time, we just rather not waste time. And so we find a solid course to learn and to expedite our process into the future. So that's what y'all should do, man. Y'all should pick up this course. If this sounded like something that you want to learn more about, that you can benefit from, the extra cash flow can help you achieve some of those financial goals, please, guys, go to hisandhermoney.com/car rental. Stop playing, get started. George, Brian, thank you so much for taking time out of y'all schedule to expose us to this game that's out there, because it's not out there like that. People have not heard about this, and people like y'all are making money, and you're teaching other people to make money. So thank y'all for telling our audience all about this program.
Absolutely. Thank you
And
for
thank you
having
for
us.
having us.
Thank you for having us.
All right, that's all we got for this time, guys. Until next time, peace.